Hi, I'm Andy Mann. You join me today at the fabulous Weston Pools. I'm just going to show you 3 lines which I use to get the most out of my peg on a winter's day. So the 3 lines which I'm going to show you today is a 16-metre flick rig to the far bank where I'm going to be dobbing baits like maggots and bread. A 13-metre line where I'm going to introduce some maggots via a catapult. Later in the session, I'm going to be approaching a short line where it'll just be loose-fed maggots out of hand, looking to catch some quality F1s later in the session. One of the first tactics I want to show you today is long lining, like a dobbing rig with either maggots, bread, or pieces of sweet corn, and just catching well, irritating fish into feeding. They're not really feeding, but it's just basically trying to drop a bait in front of their noses, trying to aggravate them to open their mouths, really. Here we are. A lovely Western F1. So while I've got the rig out of the water, I'm just going to give you a little rundown on all the aspects of the rig. So starting from the top section, we've got a 8 to 11 Maver dual core elastic, the yellow one. The main line of the rig is 016 Maver mono. The actual float is a MVR Series 2. It's got a nice thick bristle. You want like a nice thick bristle, especially when fishing into the weeds, so you can the nice visibility. And especially when you're fishing with baits like bread, which is heavy. Obviously, after a while, once it takes the water on, it will drop down a little. So yeah, that's the float. It's a wire stem. Majority of the weight is right underneath the float, so we've just got a bulk of number 8s. I have got 2 trimming shots, number 12s, and they're used below the rig, basically just keep in contact with the float as well as giving it a nice slow natural fall. Yeah, like I said, there's 2 shots there. I have been varying the depths, but they've come a lot shallower than what I thought they would have today. So I've just got one number 12 shot located halfway between the bulk and the hook. Hook length is 0.10 to a 16 F1 pallet. So I'm just going to show you a few advantages fishing this rig. Basically, this time of year the water clarity is not great. The water is literally like tap water, really clear. So obviously the fish are really wary with a lot of carbon over the head. So basically, with the advantage of this rig, you're able to push your rig right past the pole tip, so it's totally out the way. You've got like 2 meters clear, like a line between your float tip and the pole. And one of the main things I wanted to talk you through that was quick bite was obviously you've got to have enough weight in the float to be able to create that pendulum, to be able to swing it to the far bank. If the float was too light, missed a bite there. If the float was too light, it would just get stuck in the air. It wouldn't go anywhere. So you've got to have enough weight. We're using like a half a gram float there, and that's just giving us enough weight to be able to swing it to the far bank. As you can see there, we've got easily 2 meters of line between the pole tip and the float. So you've got to have enough weight in the float to be able to create that pendulum action. And I'll show you another example now when we ship out. Just take another 5mm piece of bread. As you can see, where we're shipping out now, the float is well behind the pole tip. So basically what we need to do now is create that pendulum action by lifting the pole right up in the air, and it gives it the weight in the float enough enough weight for it to swing past the pole tip and into place. Bang. Whoop, small one. I know Mike's recently undergone a stocking process here, so I think we're into one of the new small stockfish. Nice little one, isn't he? Just going to run you through the process again of stringing the rig into the swim. Obviously, we've got the float behind us, towards us, and we've got to pick the pole right up in the air, which will allow the weight to be able to swing right into position, as so. So I've been fishing the long line for the last hour or so and picked up some good fish, carp, F1s, stockies, but obviously as time has gone on, the peg sort of faded on me, and in the meantime I've just been loose feeding some maggots at 13 meters. So I'm just hoping I can go over that line now and catch some eyed and F1s just fishing through the water. Another line I've set up at 13 meters as well is just to fish micros and expanders. As I've said before, there's some new stock fish in here, and when they're bred in these fish farms, that's all they're fed on is pellets. So it's another good line to set up and cover your options. But this is a good sign, straight into a fish first chuck on the 2.5 foot rig. Quality eyed. The reason for me going on the 13 meter line, it's sort of like the centre of the canal here. So it's like a natural patrol route for all species of fish, not just hides, but F1s, carp. F1s are the main target really, but seem to be able to pick up all varieties of all species of fish here. Yeah, I've started shallow because I've seen a couple of signs when loose feeding maggots. But I will also set, like I said, I've also set up a deck rig as well, because when loose feeding maggots, especially with F1s, they can vary at all different depths. They can be right up as close as 6 inches 1 minute, and they'll be on the bottom the next. But just into a small F1 now. While my rig's in, I'll just give you a little rundown. We've got a 6 to 9 Maver dual core elastic. We've got 0.14 mainline to a 0.10 bottom with an 18 F1 pallet. The float is a Maver 0.05 gram series Finesse 6. And like I said, it's a 4 number 11 rig, and it's shot like a tapered bolt. So you got one right underneath the float, 4 inches below another one, 5 inches below another shot, and 6 inches below another shot again. And then just down to the hook then. It's just basically giving it a really slow fall through the water. Double maggot. And I've got quite a long line between the float and the pole tip. So again, just to keep that pole tip from like above the float. So you just back off the pole tip. Since we last spoke, we've dropped onto a 13-metre line, and yeah, we've had a steady run of bites from mainly Ide with a couple of F1s chucked in, fishing like 2.5 foot deep. But yeah, it's, like I said earlier, it's about priming lines, especially this time of year. We give this line a good hour or so, feeding maggots, and now we've dropped on it. It seems to be bites pretty much every chuck. Once I've got this one in, I'm gonna move on to my next line then, which I've been prepping as well, which is a maggots short line, which can be devastating in winter on most F1 waters. Here we are, another quality Weston F1. Can barely pick it up, it's massive. Lovely little fish. So we've got some cracking action on the 13-metre line, catching all sizes of fish, small Ide, big Ide, F1s, but we're getting to our latter part of the match now, or time of day, when we want to be targeting our short line, where we can hopefully put a good, some better fish together, where we've just been loose feeding maggots. So yeah, we're gonna target that line now and see if we can put a few quality fish in the net and wrap up the day. So first chuck we've had a bite. A small F1, which is what we're looking for, but just slightly larger sample, but that's a start. See where we're still playing the fish, just introduce some maggots into the swim so we can get ready for the next one. Lovely. That's the sort of fish we want to be getting now. Good quality F1s. It's a right chunk, that one. Again, like the other rigs setup, I'll just give you a little rundown on the rig. We're using a match kit. Elastic choice is a 6 to 9 Maver dual core with a bead just pulled over the top. 0.16 main line. We've got 2 back shot just to keep in tune with the float with a slight surface skim. We've got a 0.4 Maver Finesse 6. It's a carbon stem, 1.5mm hollow bristle. And then coming down to the lower part of the rig, we've got a bulk of cubes about 12 inches from the hook. Coming down, we've got one number 11 dropper sat on top of a 4-inch hook length of 0.10 to a 16 F1 pellet. Well, we've got an awesome day's winter fishing. I'm hoping that you can take something away from today out of the three main lines that we've used today, and hopefully we'll be netting some of these bad boys. All the best.